Hope you're doing good. Micah back with another video. Back here to talk about why I switched to Apple. And it really boils down to two things. But the question I'm going to answer is essentially, why did I switch? And will I switch back to Android? So if you're interested in that, please make sure you guys ignite that like button. It's free. And subscribe to the channel. It's free. And hit that notification bell. It's free. So that way you never miss my videos. So that way you and I can sit back and see what's cracking. Now let's get into the video. And the reason why you don't see it anywhere is because I'm using it to record this video. If you've been paying attention to the channel, for those who have been around, I have switched over to using my iPhone for a lot of my videos that it's not in. So, so as long as I don't have to use the iPhone, I'm using the iPhone to shoot my content now. Case in point here. If the iPhone's in the video, I'm using my Sony a7 III. But why did I switch? So the first component to that is I was switching my workflow over to Apple anyway. And that's because I feel like I had outgrown Samsung's Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, or in other words, the Android tablet experience. It started bottlenecking my ability to edit and provide you guys with good quality content. So I was ready to move on to the iPad, but in order to do that, I need to kind of change everything, and I did have to get an iPhone for that. So the conduit into the Apple ecosystem for me was technically the iPad and not the iPhone. Now, with that being said, the second reason why I switched was because I know Android like the back of my hand when it comes to using it. You get so used to just doing the mundane, regular activities with your phones, right? With your devices. And sometimes you just needed a fresh new change. And so I was like, how about we try to fully embrace Apple's ecosystem and see if we can live in it? And so it's pretty much been 6 to 8 months since switching over to Apple, and using the iPhone has been an eye-opener for me, because I remember what Apple used to be back then. Even though I wasn't a part of it like that, I still remember what Apple was like, and it was not the greatest from a software experience, which is why I never really tried to give it a chance. When they changed how the phone looked with the iPhone 10 and 10R, then it started getting my interest from that perspective, which is why I initially switched over to iPhone 10R back in, 2018, 19, for about 5 months, and then I jumped back over to, was it the Galaxy S10e or the Galaxy S20? I had switched again pretty quick. But what I learned through that was I actually respect Apple more than I thought, because being in the world of Apple, even though I had the 10R and not one of the more flagship based phones, I liked it. It was fun. It was cool. It was different. Apps work over here, and the ecosystem is very, very abundant in apps and services and support. Everything's optimized. And I didn't even get to experience that on the tablet yet, because I had never experienced an iPad. This was all just through the iPhone. So then jump 5 years later, iOS 17 unveils at WWDC 2023, and I'm like, the software is speaking my language. And from there, I had committed to the idea of, you know what? I'm just going to make a full clean switch over to Apple. So rocking the Galaxy S23 Ultra, I had finally decided to trade it in for the iPhone 14 Pro. I had got that one in space black or space gray, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful black rails, fingerprinted, but still beautiful phone. Liked using it. Tried the beta out for iOS 17. I was in the groove with it. With the iPhone 14 Pro, I was gung-ho. And then a couple months after getting the iPhone 14 Pro, I ended up finally getting an iPad Pro. And that's what really changed my eyes in terms of being in Apple's ecosystem. And that's because of everything that was lacking in Android. It was exceedingly over the top with Apple and iOS. And iPad OS for that matter, and that was tablet support, tablet optimization. So not only was I grateful and from my decision of trying the iPhone, but finally jumping into the world of iPads, and it's right here. Having apps that are optimized for this, that can be used and actually take advantage of what's going on here. That's all I needed. And since then, I feel like my workflow has increased, it has improved, and using the iPhone has become even more crucial to my workflow because I use it to shoot my videos now, which then I edit on the iPad. And using AirDrop is very easy on most days to send my content via AirDrop to the iPad, as long as it decides it wants to send everything pretty fast. But once you start trying to send ProRes content, it can take a good little minute because it's a ton of data. So outside of that, it has been much more crucial now for me to have an iPhone because it is part of the backbone of my production for YouTube and in general. Now being parts of different group chats and whatnot, iPhone only group chats, you can use the capability and features that I like from iOS 17 with them, such as live stickers and reacting to text and stuff like that, and sending more high quality photos and videos. So that aspect really intrigued me and has kept me over here with iPhone over 6 months later, which for me would be a record because it was about 5 months with the XR. I'm now 6 months, and the age-old question, will you switch back? No, I will not switch back. However, I will add to what I got going on. Meaning, if I have a secondary phone or a phone I just want to play with on the side, or a phone that I can still maintain good quality content for you guys by means of content, I will add Android back into the fold, such as a Samsung or Google, whatever, device I can get my hands on that I can still review, test, unbox, and follow up with the software features breakdown. So I will do that, but fully switching back over to Android, I will not, because just kind of paying attention on the outside, that problem that I had with Android still hasn't been fixed, partly due to the fragmented, I should say, atmosphere of Android in itself, and that is the lack of tablet optimization. Even though I may not need one, you still experience it to some degree with phones because of the different aspect ratios that we have with various different Android phones. Not all apps keep those things in mind. So again, you still just kind of run into that problem. Whereas most phones in Apple's world is 6.1 or 6.7. And then you got the SE at 4.7, and then you had the Mini, but that got scrapped. So there's only like 3 to 4 sizes in Apple's world, and developers can prioritize those. And so for those reasons, I'm gonna be sticking around in Apple's world going forward, and I have no regrets on it. Yes, it's a bit more expensive to play in because I have a pair of AirPods Pro 2. I enjoy them. I like them. I don't use them as often since being at home and like fully committing to creating content. I don't use them at home as often. I use them to edit from time to time. But this is where I see the benefit of the AirPods Max. And hopefully those get an update before I buy them, because I'm really itching to try the first generation AirPods Maxes out, so that way I can have a nice pair of studio quality headphones to edit. But I also have the older Sony XM3s. So I can still use those if I really wanted to, and those provide great sound and great sound isolation, so that way I can focus on making sure my music ain't too loud for you guys or too low, and clean up my own vocals. So there are things that I have that I can use, but I definitely can see certain things I would like to use for and in the Apple iOS ecosystem. So that's why I switched over to Apple, and why I plan on staying, and the respect I have for both Apple and Android, but how Android can still play a role in my productivity without having to be my daily driver or main source. So let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. Have you guys made any recent switches over from Apple to Android, or vice versa, or even to a whole complete different ecosystem in general? The comment section is open for discussion. But again, as always, if you guys haven't already, please ignite that like button. It's free. Subscribe to the channel. It's free, and hit that notification bell. It's also free, so that way you never miss my videos, so that way you and I sit back, relax, see what's cracking. It's your man Micah signing out. Until the next video.